Welcome to some showbiz news. The story of the day today that has captured everyone's attention is the Liam Neeson racism row around an interview he gave to promote his new film Cold Pursuit, in which, in a very standard junket interview, he was trying to explain how he used to think in a much more sort of simplistic and rageful way, primal way is the word he keeps using. But in the process of telling a story about a friend of his who was raped, he talked about the fact that he went out looking to kill a black person. Which, of course, when I heard this story to begin with, I was absolutely horrified. When I saw it break on Twitter, I was thinking, what the hell is he up to?
Because we did this on Loose Women today, when I saw it in print, it was one thing, but then when you hear him saying it, and he doesn't say black person.
No, he doesn't.
He says black bee. And I was really rocked by it when I heard it. You know, when you think that he was married to the the gorgeous Natasha Richardson, Vanessa Redgrave's politics, and I just thought, my God, how could you think like that, being within a family that have always championed the cause of any minority, haven't they?
But I mean,
so
I think he was.
I couldn't quite believe it. I kept thinking, this is something where he's been acting and he's saying this, or is this the actor getting so involved in his story and methoding out?
Well, it's funny
saying I was looking for a black, but you know, that's where I was. But
we'll have a listen to the original. It's the audio of his original interview, and then after that, he went on Good Morning America this morning in America to kind of answer some sort of questions about why he'd said what he'd said and about the backlash.
I haven't seen yet.
No, and I've only seen snippets from it. But let's just have a listen again and see what.
I'll tell you a story. This is true. I'm not going to use any names, but I was away and I came back and she told me she had been raped, but she handled the situation of the rape in the most extraordinary way. But my immediate reaction was, I asked, did she know who it was? No. What colour were they? She said it was a black person. I went up and down areas with a cosh, hoping I'd be approached by somebody. I'm ashamed to say that. And I did it for maybe a week, hoping some black bastard would come out of a pub and have a go at me about something, you know, so that I could kill him. And it took me a week, maybe a week and a half to kind of go for that. And she said to me, where are you going? I said, I'm just going out for a walk, you know. She said, what's wrong? No, nothing's wrong, fine. And it was horrible when I think back, but I did that. And I've never admitted that to it. I'm saying it to a journalist, God forbid.
Holy shit.
It's awful. But I did learn a lesson from it when I eventually thought, what the fuck are you doing, you know? And I come from a society, I grew up in Northern Ireland in the Troubles, and I knew a couple of guys that died on hunger strike, and I had acquaintances that were very caught up in the Troubles. And I understand that need for revenge, but it just leads to more revenge and more killing and more killing. And, you know, Northern Ireland's proof of that, you know. All the stuff that's happening in the world at the minute, the violence is proof of that, you know. So it's but that's primal need. I understand.
You can relate to that. That journalist, can you imagine? You see, I get what he's saying, that something overtook him and there was this primal urge and that he regrets it and that he learnt from it. But the problem is he doesn't seem to be admitting to an inherent racism.
No.
Is just...
Well, for me, it's
John Barnes has come out today.
Well, John Barnes, a famous footballer, has come out and sort of defending the fact that Liam Neeson is actually John Barnes says, refreshingly being honest about a time when he had sort of institutionalized racism within him. So that he was talking about a time in his life when he would never have queried whether thinking these things was wrong. Now, I accept that as an
But has he said that?
But no, exactly.
John Barnes.
I think that's a very favourable analysis from someone who perhaps wants to get him not out of jail. I don't think this is about wanting to pin him down and say you're this, that or the other. But I do think that the thing that would have helped his cause in that at all was he should have said, to give you an example of that primal revenge thing, back in the day when I had no comprehension of what was right and what was wrong and what marked racism or not, then go into it.
Because you know what, it's nobody's fault if they've grown up in a racist environment and they have a racist attitude. And it is admirable if you then educate yourself and you can say, my God, in those times. And so I think that that's what John Barnes is saying, but I haven't heard him say that.
No, well, no, exactly. And then
maybe this is what he says in the Good Morning America.
Well, I'm not entirely certain it is, but we'll have a little.
What we heard and saw it was only asking about color. We did ask about other aspects. Would you have had the same reaction if your friend had said it was a white man? Would you want him to go out and kill?
If she'd have said an Irish, or a Scot, or a Brit, or a Lithuanian, I know I would have had the same effect. I was trying to show honour to stand up for my dear friend in this terrible medieval fashion. And I'm a fairly intelligent guy, and that's why it kind of shocked me when I came down to earth after having these horrible feelings. Luckily, no violence occurred, ever. Thanks be to God.
Do you think you actually would have done if a innocent black man who had nothing to do?
Yeah, I know. That was my feeling. That I did want to lash out. Yes, because my friend was brutally raped, and I thought I was defending her honour. And I admit that, and it's a learning curve, and it's.
So what is a teachable moment here? You said that you wanted to, because it doesn't matter what you say. Some people are going to be outraged, or others are going to say, well, at least he's admitting, he's being honest that this is a feeling that some people have that never really acknowledge it.
Yeah, sure.
But what is the teachable? What are you hoping that people will learn from you making these statements?
To talk, to open up, to talk about these things, you know. We all pretend we're all kind of, politically correct. I mean, in this country, it's the same in my own country too. You sometimes just scratch the surface and you discover this racism and bigotry, and it's there. I remember when we were shooting Schindler's List in Poland 26 years ago almost, and hearing remarks from drivers who were taking us to the set, thinking to myself, am I hearing this right? This guy is making anti-Jewish comments to me, who's playing Oskar Schindler in the back of the car. And it happened on several times, and sometimes driving to the set we'd see swastika signs painted on walls, knowing we were been driven past this area to go to set.
What do we do? How do we have it goes beyond dialogue and conversation?
You tell me what the teachable moment is, please. I'm going to throw it back at you.
I think the teachable moment is that we have to own up to when we. The one point that I want to make out is that this wasn't discovered by somebody. You admitted this. Yes. This isn't a gotcha. This isn't like, oh.
Yes.
So I give you credit there. But also having to acknowledge that the hurt, even though it happened decades ago, the hurt of an innocent black man knowing that he could have been killed for something he did not do because of the color of his skin.
No. Or people, and they could have killed me too. At the time.
But to get beyond it being a difficult conversation and understanding that we do need to get to the root of it, to stop just talking about it and not. I know that you're getting crucified in many ways before saying what you did.
Sure.
And you're not shying away. You're admitting that it was wrong. You've learned from that. But you have to also understand the pain of a black person hearing what you said.
Absolutely.
That.
You're absolutely right. Yeah. And at the time, even though it was nearly 40 years ago, I didn't think about that. All those things surprised me. But it was this primal hatred I guess, that really, really shocked me when I eventually came down to earth and saw what I was doing, going out looking for a fight.
Wow, this is just so complicated.
Complicated. It's so complicated.
This is so emotionally complicated.
I don't think he fully gets the offence that he's caused. I don't think he fully understands
No.
what.
And
how,
she
what
said
he
that
said.
so
She
beautifully.
said it
Can
so
you imagine
beautifully.
for a black person this is incredibly
Yeah.
painful
Yeah.
to hear? And yet what he said, I just wish he punched it through a bit more what he's saying. What he's saying is, yes, but unless we admit
that we can have
that we
this
can
within
have
us.
these feelings.
Because I saw the John
But
Barnes interview. He was talking about the fact that he believes everyone, John Barnes, the footballer who commented on Sky News, I think it's somewhere on YouTube, check it out.
Yeah.
He commented on the fact that he believes, John Barnes, that we are all unconsciously racist. And he felt that this was a kind of an articulation of that unconscious racism. Now, I think, I was hoping from this interview that Liam Neeson would have kind of potentially had moved that way to explain that was what he was saying.
But maybe he's going even a step further and not completely sweeping everything up and making it all tidy and going,
true.
but now I'm totally fine and I'm totally PC. He's not excusing fully. He said he's disgusted. He said he's horrified. He said
he's
that
ashamed.
He said that he's this. He said, what more can he say? I suppose what he hasn't said is,
well, what
never in a million. If this was presented to me again, I wouldn't think in that way.
No, and also...
And he says 40 years ago, having grown up in Northern Ireland, having grown up with the Troubles, I would say I'm going out to look for a black bastard.
That's what he's saying.
That's what he's saying.
Yeah. I mean,
Wow.
I just, where I find it most troubling is that but I suppose that's what he's saying, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's what
The
he's saying,
first thing
challenging
he
us.
asked was the colour of the person, and that for me is the mark of racism, just to ask the colour of the person in the first place. And
But
yet
you know
he's
what?
saying that was but he hasn't really said, I don't think he's really said, that was an articulation of the time. That was an expression of me in a time where we had these terrible prejudices. I think...
But is that... But is that him not wanting to overdo it and over-apologise? Or is that really because he doesn't really get it?
This is
What
where
do
you guys
think?
come in.
What do you
Tell
think?
us,
I
what the
think
hell
this
do
is
you
really
think?
confusing. But I do think what he's trying, what he's trying to challenge is... You know, it's funny, isn't it, how often I don't know if you get this, but you might say something, oh, such and such happened, or there was a robbery, or there was a stabbing. How many times people say, well, what colour were they?
It's terrible.
People do say that.
Yeah.
People say that. And maybe if he's making people think, I mean, even if he still is inherently racist, by default, this is going to bring up a very good conversation that we all need
It's
to
a
keep
massively
on having.
important discussion,
And he might
actually.
suffer terribly from it. It might be the career ending this.
It might be, and I do think you should. If anyone can, try and find the John Barnes interview on Sky News, which was an impassioned,
it's really interesting.
plea for there not to be a witch hunt. He was incredibly passionate in his articulation of saying that we are all unconsciously racist, and actually, rather than shooting this guy down, we should actually hear what he said and think about the implications of it. My problem with the whole thing is I think Liam Neeson kind of stumbled into this accidentally, mistakenly, without really understanding what the hell he was talking about.
No.
I mean, I really don't. I don't think he understood the sensitivity. And I
think he's admitted that, of course, that was completely, utterly unforgivable, racist attitude.
For them.
But what we don't feel is...
I don't feel he gets what the implications of it now
No,
are.
exactly.
No. So that wonderful point that the
And I'm
host
trying
just
to be
said then.
really fair here because I hate the whole online outrage. It's a disgrace, you know. Hang them up, da da da. We've got to be able to talk about these things and be really honest and really interrogate our own.
Yeah.
When I
look at his face, I see a man who's slightly confused by the fuss that's going on, which in itself is a bit worrying. I'm not suggesting for a minute he's a sinister man, but I'm just saying there's something he's not connecting.
Even the cold-bloodedness to go out every day for
Well,
5 days looking for somebody.
Well, I must admit, I've never had a period of my life like that.
So if I was being the most generous possible, like really, really the most generous, could this be the actor methoding It felt very actory, a lot of this conversation. And he's like and I went out, has he added cumin and spice to this over the years?
Order
Is
to
this
be
one
the
of those
yeah.
stories that's become a bigger story?
But that's you being the most favourable. But in being the most unfavourable, I could say, what kind of a man is he that he could go out on the prowl with a kosh?
I mean, I found that... I mean, hang on a minute. Never mind all the other...
Even 40 years ago, to go out with a kosh.
Even if he's not talking... remove the whole racist thing. Just to go out to look for somebody to kill.
Yeah, and his explanation is the rape of his friend, which is not to diminish that.
Not like he comes in, she's been raped, crime of passion, goes storming out. Look, in the original interview he said a week. Now he's saying 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
Night after night to go out looking
and
for
going to
anyone.
principally black areas.
Going to black areas, and like she said, can you imagine what that sounds for a black man?
Horrendous.
To think an innocent black man could have been killed.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the point. He didn't connect with that when she said that. He didn't really hear what she meant by that. So tell us what you think, guys. Tell us what you think. It's the story of the minute. What should happen next for Liam Neeson?
I mean, there's talk that he should be disinvited from the Oscars and XYZ. I don't know. I don't know if I'm a big one for banning.
Well,
I don't know what that does.
Let's see. What do you think? Tell us what you think, guys. Be fascinated to know.